Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, home of the most expensive workbench. We are here today, back in the garage, doing some car content. Wow! Today we're actually going to be working on my 1973 Ford Maverick 302. Now, as you can see from my video, I'm having a little trouble starting, and it looks like I'm out of gas. So the entire time I've owned this car, it's always been kind of a guessing game when it comes to fuel, because the fuel gauge has never worked in the entire time I've owned it, which is, I think, going on 4 years now. I've always just kind of put a few gallons in, driven it, kind of assumed that I get 8 miles per gallon. So it seems I'm out of gas, and it's probably due to the fact that this car's been sitting for a while, and I haven't put gas in it in like a year. So I'm kind of assuming that it's completely out, especially as you can hear from banging on the fuel tank. It's kind of hollow in there. So I think before I put gas in it, I should fix this fuel gauge so that I don't have to play this guessing game ever again. So as you can see here, the fuel gauge is on E. But the problem is that it's always been on E, so I've never been able to know how much gas I have in the tank, or really if there's even any in there. So I just, got used to not having any indication of fuel level. So let's try to start it. And of course there's nothing. So off camera, what actually prompted me to do this is I have been starting up this car periodically, about every couple of weeks or so for the past, year. And, just running it for a little while just to make sure oil is still circulating and it doesn't rot away. So I think that's been part of the cause of this issue. And also, when I tried to start it, it actually fired up and ran for a couple of seconds before dying. So that tells me that it can run, aside from the fact that it has been running this whole time. So it can run, and I just have no fuel. The most common reason why this would happen is actually the fuel sending unit. It could actually be related to the fuel float itself, which is just this piece here. But I figured if I'm going to take it apart, I may as well just replace the whole sending unit, just so I can make sure that the wires are connected, haven't degraded, and that sort of thing. So I went ahead and bought this on Amazon. I think I got it from Amazon. And they sent me a catalog of parts for the Ford Maverick. The real Maverick, not what you get from Ford today. So I may actually be getting a lot more things for this car because now I have a catalog and I can replace some of the other things that are broken. We can kind of take stock at that later on. Let's just get this car started and running again. And that brings us to another challenge that I can try to resolve during this project. That is to address this mess. I can't find anything, and because of my house project, there's tools everywhere. So I got to figure this out. And also because I've inherited so much stuff from my family, I've got a bit of a logistical issue. So I need to get this to a level of functionality that allows me to do things to cars. So what a better time to get that handled than now. Before I get too deep into this, I want to make sure that the new fuel float actually does the job. So I've reconnected it, the new one, to the line. And I've just left the old one just where it is because I don't want to start taking things apart and then, just not have it work on me. So this is the best way to test it. So I've just kind of got it hanging off the edge of this bucket here. So it should show full. I've got the car on. So let's go take a look. Car is on and fuel is full. This is gonna work. What a relief. All right, so here's a side-by-side of the two fuel sending units, and check out this interesting thing that I found. So that's the new sending unit. When I tap it, you can hear that's definitely hollow inside, but the old one This thing is solid, and you can't tell you can't feel how heavy it is, but it is definitely heavier than the new one, and I'm gonna guess it's not buoyant. So this is probably filled up with fuel, which is also indicated by how wet it is around a otherwise very dry fuel sending unit. So let's get this new one in. Actually, before we put this in, let's shine a flashlight into the tank and see how dirty it is. Tricky. Be a little bit tricky. But you can see for the most part, it's nice and clean. I'm concerned about the bottom, and I might just have to take a picture with the flash because this is, here we go, here's getting there. Where's the camera? There it is. It's, from what I can tell, it's not terrible, but there's definitely some debris down there. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Alright, let's put the new unit on because the fumes are gonna kill me. The new fuel sending unit is on. Gasket's in place. The snap ring is in, and it is reconnected to the fuel line and as well as the gauge. So the gauge is still showing that it's empty, but that's because it actually is empty. So now we need to put some fuel in it. I have barely any in this little can. This is a 1 gallon can. I don't think this is going to move the needle much, even if it does start the car. So I've got my 4 gallon can that we will dump in there next. So let's go get that done. That was a disaster. I need to do something about this because every time I try to fill this up, some gas pours out on the paint there, and a little bit of paint comes off every single time. If you own a Maverick, or if you did own a Maverick, let me know what you did about that, because this is really frustrating, and this car is worth preserving as much as I can. So I would really, really, really welcome any advice you have to give there. I can't stand this filler. Anyway, I did manage to put about, I don't know, 3-ish gallons in it. So let's see what that did to our fuel level, and let's also try to start the car. All right. Well, it's on. Is it going to move? Looks like the needle's moving a little bit. I mean, I didn't put much gas in it, so it could very well just be reading empty. Unless the fuel filled with gas again, and it's just always going to be empty. Well, we'll see. Let's try to start it. Yay! This again. I think it's a little bit out of time. I have to put more gas in this because the fuel level, it's still on E, so I don't expect this gas to last very long, especially considering this car gets like 1 mile per gallon. But this is mission accomplished. Actually, before I wave the mission accomplished banner, let's go check for leaks. I think we're okay. There's no leaks. It just doesn't sound very good. Sounds like it's misfiring or something, or the timing is way off. I don't know. It could be anything. So as you can see, it's pretty damn hot. So I'm going to go ahead and call this a victory for now. What's next for this car? I have to get this thing legally on the road. So I just restored insurance on it a couple of days ago. So now that it's in the DMV system, I have to order the sticker. Once I pay for it, I get the receipt. I can print that out and legally drive it. But then I might get pulled over, and then I just have to show them the receipt. Yeah, so then I'll get that. I have to get the sticker, and then I can drive it and fill it up with gas and dump gas all over the ground at $8,000 a gallon. But yeah, now the fuel gauge works, so I shut the car off, and let's take a look at this. So now I've shut the car off. You can see the needle is way past E, and then I'm going to turn the car back on. And it's going to creep back up to E. So that's good. That means I am low on fuel, but that means that my fuel gauge works, which is awesome. This is a huge win for me. This fuel gauge never worked in the entire time that I've owned this car. So I literally don't know what it's like to have a working fuel gauge in this car. I imagine it's a lot easier to, know if you're going to make it to your destination or not. Okay, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks. I got the registration sticker on this car, which means I can legally drive it. So let's drive it. First, we're going to go down to the gas station, put some gas in it, and make sure that the needle actually moves the way we think it is. And then we'll just take it for a spin around the block, because I haven't driven this car in 2 years. Took a lot less than I thought it would. One of the things I hate about this car is this blind spot. I can't see anything. I've got no side mirror. So we're gonna have to get out of the car and take a look at where I am in just a minute. Car really is taking some getting used to. The other thing is that my phone is approximately where the mirror would be, so I'm looking at my phone and expecting to see the back of the car, and that's absolutely not the case. It does make me consider just adding a side mirror just to make my life a little bit better. Oh, I miss this car. Oh, this is such a cool car. So I'm gonna pop open my glove box. I do want to keep an eye on my temperature, just because it is still very hot, and I don't want a repeat of the Prelude or the Jeep or the Miata, especially on this car. So we're only going to put like 3 gallons in it, something like that, just enough to oh, that's not good. That's not a good sound at all. Okay. Come on. Almost got it. There we go. That is a horrible noise coming out of my back brakes. Make the noise go away just by using the brakes, but probably not. So first thing I'm noticing is that there's a absolutely awful noise coming out of the rear end. It's the brakes. It's from having the e-brake on. I didn't have the e-brake on for the past 2 years completely, but I had it on for a good couple of months. And I think I'm paying for that now. I've had to replace the rear brakes in all of my cars because I wasn't driving anywhere during the pandemic, and I'm parking on all of these hills, so I had to just kind of live with it. But now I'm just really suffering because all of my brakes are going bad. Oh man, what a car though. Even though it doesn't want to start, it doesn't want to stop, it does want to go. It's really fun. This is a really fun car to drive. The 3 on the tree is a little bit of a bummer. It's too much like a truck. I'm just going to keep it on these side streets here because if anything goes wrong, I don't want to break down on Foothill Boulevard. Especially if like a brake drum explodes or something. My fuel gauge does work. I still have just below a quarter tank. I only put 3.5 gallons in it, but it most definitely works now. So in terms of this project, mission accomplished, but I've still got quite a ways to go in this car. So let's go ahead and recap. My steering rack is kind of falling apart. It's gushing fluid. The steering still feels really good, surprisingly. It's just that when I crank the wheel a lot, I lose fluid. There's the back brake issue. There's the starting problem. The starting problem is actually really, really bad. It's looking to be about $1,000 because the only replacements I can find available are actually conversion kits for this car. I don't need a conversion kit because I already have power steering, but that's what I have. Ugh. I've still got that lean intake backfire when I mash the gas. That's a tuning problem. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to address that. I may just readdress it once I do some more work. So let's talk about the starting problem. The starting problem is because the flywheel itself is all chewed up. I thought it was the starter when I bought the car, so I went and replaced the starter, and it's still doing it. And when I had the starter off, I got a good look at the flywheel, and it is really chewed up. So that is why my car doesn't want to start. It's because the teeth on the flywheel are worn down, even though so it doesn't want to grab even though the teeth on the starter are good. That said, it's wearing down the starter. So the more I start it, the worse it's going to get. So I have to address that very, very soon. If I'm going to pull the transmission off, though, I don't want to put this 3-speed back in. If I pull the transmission off, I'm going to want a 5-speed in its place, which is going to mean cutting the hole in the transmission tunnel and installing a Tremec T5. That's what I want. When I do that, I'm going to have to get a custom drive shaft, and when I do that, I'm going to want to get a rear end. So this is like a lot of work building up for this car, which is a big reason why I don't want to do it. The big reason why this car has been sitting for so long is because the things it needs all together, and it's really expensive. and I just can't afford it yet. So I'm really just kind of hoping that I can keep taking this car on the block just for a few more months, and then you know, sometime early next year, when things might be a little bit better, then I'll you know, once I get my garage done, then this will be kind of like my big treat. This will be the big celebration project. And also, the work that this requires is going to be like, it's going to be a big job. It's going to be, and I'm not sure if I want to do the transmission with the engine in the car, or if I want to pull the motor and transmission out, and then I can do something really cool to the engine, like put in a little bit hotter cam and just kind of try to wake up this motor a little bit more. So there's just a whole lot that I really want to do to this car, and the best timing is really to do it all at once, because you do one thing, and while you're in there, it's just a bunch of while you're in there's. But when this car is done, this is going to be just insane. It's going to be so good. It's going to be such a wonderful driving experience. It already is. It just doesn't do things like start and stop very well. There is one small project I'll probably take on this car, and that is to add a proportioning valve to the brake system, because when I have to slam on the brakes in this car, it gets really scary. Because, let's see what happens. Yeah, that's what happens. And the reason is because I did a disc brake conversion on the front, but I did not put a proportioning valve, so the rear brakes get too much brake pressure, so the rear end wants to step out on me every time I have to step on the brakes too hard. I've just got to keep driving it, make sure it doesn't fall apart just from sitting around, because I don't want another Studebaker on my hands, or another Triumph TR7, or another Miata. Well, there's the brake noise again. Yeah, because if you let it build vacuum, if you let it wind up slowly, it doesn't spit. Ugh, that's a horrible noise. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. If you like what you see, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you don't like what you see, leave a comment. Maybe you think Ford Mavericks are a girl's car or something, or maybe you thought the Ford Maverick only came in a truck. Leave a comment, because that will still drive the algorithm, and that really helps out my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.